morning sun, how are you? Skies above. Gee, it's great to be alive and love. Good. Good morning sun.
And hello, and it has been a while. Welcome back to another episode of I Need Coffee. And today I wanted to share some BC development fun that I've had, antics and problems I've encountered. And I seem to stumble into these bizarre little quirks and problems, so thought I'd share and entertain you. That is my job. So, what is number one? Number one is do not name your BC Docker container dev. And while you're at it, do not name it app and do not name it new or foo or any of the others in this list. Through just coincidence, I've been naming it GP dev, dev1, and I thought, well, shorter is better. So I went from dev whatever to just dev. I thought that's convenient. Well, it didn't work. And let me show you what that looks like. And let me try not to mess this up. Okay. So here we are on my Docker server, and I have a URL. Don't know if you can see that, but it's just dev. Dev is the name of the container. And I can go over here and I can say Docker PS. And you see that I have a dev1, test1, dev17, and a dev. Great. What's wrong with that? So I go over here to my browser, go to dev bc tenant default, and I wait. And I thought, well, that's strange. I just created this container. Is there something wrong with my BC container helper script? So I recreated it again, thinking, well, maybe there was some weird error, because I did get some random errors. But then I went in here and I thought, okay, well, I saw my browser said, dev took too long to respond. This site can't be reached. Error connection timeout. That's weird. And you notice the browser tab is spinning again. I thought, that's kind of strange. And if you're very keen-eyed, you may notice something right now. But it didn't dawn on me that what this problem was. So I came back over here and I said ping dev. Okay, IP address, I get a ping response. I thought, okay, well, that looks fine. Let's go to the host file. And I thought, well, maybe the host didn't get updated. But nope, there's dev right there. And as we can see, we get a ping against 230. So that looks fine. So it's not the host. The Docker container is running. I can ping it. And so I thought, okay, well, here's the IP address. Let me see if it's just some name resolution issue. So I went up here and I changed this to the IP address. Wait a minute. It comes right up. It's fine. So let me log in. Oh, hopefully I typed it wrong. And there we go. So my container is fine, but I clearly have a name resolution issue. So if you were paying very close attention, let's go back here. Let's do dev bc tenant equals default. So what you may have noticed is when it finally times out, not while it's still trying to connect, but only when it finally times out, the URL changes to HTTPS. So like if we look at it right now, notice that I did not type in HTTPS. And if I go to one of my other tenants, it doesn't do it either. It says not secure. So through a suggestion on Twitter, and I apologize, the name, I've forgotten his name. He said, what if it's this? And he pointed me to an article talking about how Chrome and Firefox are now doing what is called HSTS preloading, or HTTPS, forcing HTTPS and doing HSTS preloading. And I kind of vaguely understand what that means as a security measure, but I don't understand the mechanics, and has to do with the HTTPS or SSL or TLS handshake. And it forces certain domains to go HTTPS prior to the handshake attempt, I believe. Well, there is a list of over 120,000 registered domains that have signed up for this. And if you are using Firefox or Chrome, it goes to this list and checks. And it says, hey, is this domain an HSTS registered domain? If so, I'm going to do preloading and force TLS, force HTTPS. Well, for whatever reason, someone thought that dev needed to be on this list, along with Chrome and Bank and Android and Hangout and whatever. I have no idea why. And foo, because foo is an important dev site. And it is forcing HTTPS. That is going to cause you a problem with your BC containers by default. Now, I submitted an issue on GitHub to Freddie just to let him know it's not a problem with BC Container Helper. It's not a problem with Docker. It is purely a problem with Firefox and Chrome. So you'll notice if I pull up IE, I can go in here, remove the HTTPS, and it works fine. That is because IE is not following not looking at the HSTS preload list, and it says, I'm perfectly happy sending you over there with HTTP, and it works great on IE. But Firefox or Chrome, it will not work. So I'd recommend, let's see, where are we? I would recommend, sorry, I was pointing to this. This is that list I was referring to, Android app, dev, Chrome, Bank. No idea who came up with this list. If you decide you want any of these, don't do that for your containers. Go with BC Dev 1, Dev 1. Do not use Dev. Do not use App or New or any of these other 120,000 domains. And most of these others are fully qualified domain names. So you're not going to do, google.com, something like that, or Yahoo or something like that. But if you decide to use just these short host names, it will cause a problem. And I did submit the issue to Freddie. He looked at it, reproduced it, and I don't know if he was able to work around it, but even if you use SSL, set up an SSL cert, you have to register or save that cert on the Docker container in order to get it to work. So there's certain requirements and things you have to do in order to get that HSTS preload to work. And so not even worth it. So I think he was going to add a warning, potentially check HSTS preload list. If it comes back, log a warning in the BC Container Helper log. But just don't do it. Don't be like me. Don't do it. Put a number at the end or make it unique so it's not on this list. Anyway, that burned a solid 2 hours for me trying to figure that. Anyway. Okay, moving on. PowerShell ISE command add-on. And many people are going to say, this is obvious, duh. Well, what is the first thing that I do when I opened up, where am I here? When I opened up PowerShell ISE? Well, I saw this annoying thing on the side and I closed it because it's this annoying command palette off on the right side. Whatever, I don't care about it. I don't know what I'm doing. And I closed it. And I immediately forgot it existed. And so a colleague showed this to me and says, by the way, you can go in here, click BC Container Helper from this list. And if you want to know how to call any one of these commandlets in BC Container Helper, this is like a little template. You enter the values and it will actually generate the script for you. This is a mind-blowing moment for me. And yes, I should have known about this, but no, I did not. If you aren't using this command palette, and if you are using BC Container Helper, this is awesome. And if you are looking into using Azure DevOps and you're going to be a commando in your YAML and start calling some of these things directly from your YAML, more power to you. You're braver than I. This will be a huge help because it'll help you figure out what commands you want to call individually and what parameters and how to script it. So anyway, that's how I kind of came across it. Awesome feature. Wish I would have known about it 8 months ago when I closed it, but just wanted to let you know about that. Okay, so that was a simple one. Next up, this is another fun one. If you are doing AL development for BC and you're testing, debugging, prototyping, I would not recommend Firefox based on my experience. When I pull up the real BC SaaS application or even a BC page in a Docker container, it appears to work fine. But when I develop and test a page in Firefox, I get really, really weird behaviors. And I will be the first to admit that could be 100% because I don't know what I'm doing. But in a very simple page with a very simple lookup. So this is just a number series lookup. There is no lookup. It just doesn't work. You refresh the page, sometimes it might kind of work. Like you won't have a drop down arrow here. You won't have a lookup button. You'll click there. Sometimes the number series would display. Sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes the page would respond. Sometimes the page will be completely unresponsive. And after burning well over an hour, like republishing, rebuilding the container, thinking we are doing something wrong, I said, try this in Chrome. We pulled up the same page in Chrome, worked perfectly, flawlessly, no issues. So there is something different about Firefox versus Chrome, and I don't know if it's something we're doing wrong on the page. It's a very simple test page. We're not doing anything elaborate. We're just learning. But Firefox was basically unusable. We had to stop using it. Chrome worked fine. So just a heads up, if you're learning AL development, I would kind of stay away from Firefox or keep both browsers open. If you find anything weird in Firefox, then try Chrome, see if it works. And my colleague said he has done a lot of web development and he prefers Firefox for its usability and compatibility and thinks that's kind of the preferred tool. Well, in the BC AL world, when you're just prototyping and have rough pages half assembled, no bueno with Firefox. Maybe when you have a properly written, perfectly good page, Firefox will work fine. But for us learning, it didn't work. We had all sorts of weird problems. And related to that, on a similar note, this top screenshot is Chrome. When you have a FastTab or a group on a page, and under that group, you have multiple groups. So here I have billing address fields in group 1, and over here it's not shown because I have show less. I have shipping address fields in column 2. In Chrome, when I have show less selected, this column stays in place. It's fixed. It will not push the fields over to the right side to fill that blank space. This is the exact same page down here in Firefox. And I guess it's just the way the two browsers behave. I've been able to reproduce this with a very simple page. Let me see if I can find it. No, that's not it. List page. My list page. Nope. I already forgot what the name of the... sorry. Test. Anyway, I can't find it in my BC demo, but yeah, I noticed this and I thought, that's really strange. Why is this all blank? And I tested it in Firefox. It did it. Now, one of the key distinctions here is that there must be a group on your very first set of fields. If you do not have these fields in a group, then in Chrome, they will flow over to the right. So that is one thing I noticed. But if this first set of columns is in a group, it just sits there in the column fixed in Chrome and will not flow. So that was an oddity between browsers that I also noticed. Okay. So here's something that's cool. It's not actually a problem. It's a cool feature. And that is on a page, you can define additional search terms for this page. So in this case, this page is called My List Page. And what's nice is if you're doing something like customer or sales or fixed assets or report, and it is some name, and when you type that name in the search box, you get, say, the first 5 or so results, and yours isn't in that result, and you need to type something more specific. On the 20th test of that page, that gets really annoying. So I said, oh, as soon as I saw additional search terms, I thought, can I put something unique that has nothing to do with my page, but allows me to search for it so that it's not customer list or customer setup or anything like that that might have other common results? Sure enough, this works great. So let me switch to my BC. And so here I can type in hippo, if I can spell it right, and I get my list page. I can go right to that while I'm testing, and I don't have to type in customer list or customer list extension or alternate or whatever. It allows me to have a unique keyword right on my customization. And you can remove this when you release a production version, but during testing it's super handy. And I also tested, it could just be a number. So if you have 100, 200, 300, some simple set of numbers that you remember, this is a great way to save time and just look up and get right to your customization without having to constantly type in, what if it's customer, right? Or what if it's billing? Oh, of course, that didn't work. So yeah, basically anything where that's a common word in BC, oftentimes your result, your customization extension will not show up in this list. So I recommend zoo animals. Short names, hippo, zebra, maybe not giraffe, but anyway, you get the point. Very, very handy feature. Okay, so that was a pretty cool feature. And another cool feature, this time in VS Code. And this is a feature I've used in Visual Studio a lot, but it's implemented very differently. It's just, I think it's a graphical handle you pull to split the window. So let me go to screen 4 here, and let me pull up VS Code. So let's say this is my AL page, and let's say I'm zoomed in, and my font's really big, and I've got this debug console down here, and I need to scroll down because I need to add fields at the bottom, or I'm working on a table and I need to work with the primary key at the bottom. So I'm going up to the top, going up to the bottom. It gets really annoying with a long code file or AL file. So what you can do is right click on the tab at the top, and you can say split up, split down, left or right. Now, you can go left or right, that's fine, but if you want to see the full width of the page, I personally choose split down. So what that does is it opens the exact same file in a new tab with a split window at the bottom. And I'm just going to close this here. So what I can do on the bottom tab, or the bottom split window, is I can be at the bottom while working at the top. So I can add additional search terms at the top while also adding a field here. And this is I didn't do the right thing, but you get the point. That's a table field. Oh, this tells you how much I know about AL. Okay, so I'm going to choose mobile phone number and application area equals all. So I'm able to work at the bottom of the file without losing sight at the top of the file. And so a colleague and I were bouncing between the top and bottom of the file for various reasons. I was like, oh, there's got to be a better way. There is no drag handle here, as far as I know, like there is in Visual Studio up at the top. But we found that you right click, split down, split up, split left, right, whatever, and it allows you to have 2 copies. So I thought that was super nifty, and it's a holdover or something similar from VS Visual Studio. So anyway, that's a quick update, and I think that's all. Okay, hope you're having a good day, and enjoy. Someday I'll figure out all these buttons. Anyway, I'm out of here. I'm tired. Goodbye.